Who are the people in our country who are selling these firearms? So I want to move on to the fact that you all work for agencies where we know that there is resources have been diverted from each of your agencies probably to engage in immigration enforcement. President Trump has made it clear that immigration enforcement is a priority for his regime. And to that end, for example, the FBI has reportedly been ordered to prioritize immigration, with some agencies being told to dedicate 1/3 of their time to immigration enforcement. So I would like to ask each of you, Mr. Allison, what percentage of DEA personnel, either through diversion of the hours of time that they're spending on immigration reform to bodies who
Patriots, buckle up. Today we're calling out one of the biggest political gaslighters in the United States Senate. None other than Mazie Hirono, the Democrat from Hawaii, who just proved once again how deeply out of touch the radical left has become with real America. You won't believe the circus she pulled off in that recent Senate hearing. Let me break it down for you, piece by piece, so you see just how insane and dangerous this Democrat ideology has become. First off, Senator Hirono starts with her usual virtue-signaling tantrum about the flow of firearms into Mexico. Now hold up a second. This is the same senator who refuses to secure our own southern border, but wants to blame legal American gun owners for what Mexican drug cartels are doing. Let me get this straight. You want to let millions walk into our country unchecked, but when guns illegally cross the other way, that's suddenly our fault? Nope. That's on Biden's open border policies, not American patriots. She corners federal officials and demands to know why the ATF isn't magically stopping every gun that leaves the country. But here's the kicker.
Chairman, we all know that there is a significant flow of firearms from the United States into the hands of these cartels. And I'm glad that Senator Durbin asked you all the question of what we can do to stop this flow, and most of which are coming from 4 states: Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas. And you all testified that, well, you really don't know what to do, that you kicked it off to the ATF, that they're supposed to be trying to stop the flow, the significant flow of firearms out from our country to Mexico. So that's your testimony, right? It's not your responsibility. It remains with ATF to figure this out? Anybody?
Yes.
You stay with the, that's not your responsibility. That's your testimony.
No, ma'am, that's not my testimony, ma'am. I'm sorry, just to correct.
Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, so at least on the piece of the.
What you can do?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Stevens,
Yes, ma'am.
briefly?
So for us, we do see that as one of our responsibilities, and we're going to do that through the HSTFs, as that's one of the pillars of efforts that it refers to as it relates to that. So we're working and using our unique authorities to be able to work that together. So we are working hand in hand with them daily on operations as it relates to the outbound weapons.
Can you provide the information to this committee, what success that you are having in stopping the significant flow of firearms, and who are the people in our country who are selling these firearms? So I want to move on to the fact that you all work for agencies where we know that there is resources have been diverted from each of your agencies probably to engage in immigration enforcement. President Trump has made it clear that immigration enforcement is a priority for his regime. And to that end, for example, the FBI has reportedly been ordered to prioritize immigration, with some agencies being told to dedicate 1/3 of their time to immigration enforcement. So I would like to ask each of you, Mr. Allison, what percentage of DEA personnel, either through diversion of the hours of time that they're spending on immigration reform to bodies who are spending time, I mean, what percentage of DEA is going to immigration enforcement?
Ma'am, we don't really quantify it by percentages of people. I will tell you this, that the DEA's involvement in any type of immigration enforcement is focused and narrow in scope. And we are primarily focused on the narcotics trafficking that oftentimes.
So you don't know what percentage of DEA is going toward immigration enforcement?
I can only speak for the Los Angeles Field Division.
I'm sorry?
I can only speak for the Los Angeles Field Division of DEA in my role.
I'm
as Special
having
Agent
some
Charge.
difficulty hearing you, so is it your testimony that you don't know?
I can't speak to that.
Okay. Thank you. The information I have is 25% of DEA is going to immigration reform. Mr. Stevens, what percentage of HSI is going toward immigration enforcement?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. I can't speak for the entirety of HSI. I can speak for my HSI El Paso field office. Each field office is unique and has its own major threats. And so the SACs have autonomy to be able to divert those resources, to be able to necessarily address immigration, drugs, whatever happens to be the major threats. I have human smuggling occurring in my offices daily, so I have a significant number of resources dedicated to what would be referred to as immigration enforcement.
And what percentage, what constitutes significant to you?
I have approximately 4 groups that are dedicated to working human smuggling investigations, which would be about 28 people in my El Paso office.
The information I have is that it is unclear as to what percentage, if we can talk about it in those terms. It would be helpful for us to know what kind of diversion of resources is happening toward immigration reform, as opposed to the law enforcement and the drug enforcement activities that you all are supposed to be engaged in. That in the case of HSI, it is that scores of agents have been reassigned, literally reassigned to immigration reform. FBI, Mr. Perez,
Ma'am,
what percentage of FBI resources are going toward immigration?
yes, ma'am. I don't have an exact percentage. I
Enforcement?
can tell you that over the last several months that we've been involved in it, supporting our DHS counterparts, the number ebbs and flows from smaller to maybe surges at time or two. I will tell you, though, the success of what we're doing in the immigration front, when we first started, we've identified close to 800 predicated FBI subjects that were in violation of some type of immigration status. We've been able to leverage that tool, that partnership, to disrupt everything from terrorists to spies to gangs.
Excuse me, I am running out of time, but I just want to say that these are important questions for us to know, because you all are supposed to be, you have your mission. One wonders if, for example, the information I have is that with regard to FBI, 45% of agents in 25 large field offices are working immigration full-time, 45%. So, and as for the ATF, 80% are working on immigration enforcement at least part of the time. So there's a significant diversion of resources toward immigration reform as opposed to the stuff that you all are supposed to be doing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Schmidt. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to follow up with that, I hope you do more deportations. I hope you help find more.
She doesn't want any accountability from Mexico. Not a word about corrupt Mexican officials or cartel power. She just wants to blame you, the American taxpayer, the American gun owner, and the American Constitution. That's the left's playbook, folks. Never hold foreign criminals accountable, always attack your freedoms. Then Hirono goes full Marxist. She straight up condemns President Trump's efforts to enforce immigration law. She claims that agencies like the DEA, FBI, and ATF are diverting resources to immigration enforcement, as if protecting our borders and sovereignty is somehow a bad thing. You heard me. She's angry that we're deporting criminals and stopping drug traffickers at the border. Let me ask you, Senator Hirono, do you think America should have zero enforcement? Should we just open the doors wide and let every cartel thug, every human trafficker, and every fentanyl dealer waltz in because enforcing immigration law makes you uncomfortable? She throws out these numbers. 45% of FBI agents are working on immigration. 80% of ATF is distracted. But does she give any real proof? Nope. Just scare tactics and vague information. I have claims. Let me tell you something. The FBI and DEA wouldn't need to focus on immigration enforcement if your side hadn't turned the border into a disaster zone. What Hirono and her radical allies want is simple: a weaponized federal government that only enforces laws they agree with and ignores the rest. She wants the FBI to chase misinformation, the DEA to ignore the drug epidemic, and ATF to target law-abiding gun shops, while ignoring real crime flooding across our border. This is the Democrat strategy: disarm Americans, open the borders, blame you for the consequences. Let me be crystal clear. Real Americans see right through this nonsense. We are done letting people like Senator Hirono twist the truth, undermine law enforcement, and sabotage the rule of law just to score points with their activist base. We need to back the blue, who are actually enforcing our immigration laws. We need to close the border and put Americans first. And we need to reject every radical senator who thinks protecting your rights is optional. So to Senator Hirono, you may fool your woke donors, but you're not fooling us. We see the games. We see the agenda. And come November, we will vote. This is Right View Nation, where we don't whisper the truth. We shout it. Subscribe and hit that bell for more hard-hitting, unapologetic truth from the Right View Nation. Drop a comment below. Should the FBI and ATF be enforcing immigration law? And remember, when freedom is under fire, we fight back.